From few days, I have been observing people getting more broken and poorer. Whereas on the other side, not to say, but my wealth is increasing day by day. So I studied about it a lot and found out some common money habits which many people are doing that are keeping them in such condition. In this video, I will be telling you those money habits which are keeping you as well others, very broke and poor. 1. Lack of clear savings objectives. In addition to helping you determine how much money you need to save, having precise savings objectives gives you a purpose to save that is both real and measurable. You might not be consciously considering how much you should be saving and what steps to take to reach those objectives, if you don't have defined savings goals. This is a simple habit to break, and doing so will pave the way for all future savings habits. Now is the moment to sit down and list all of your objectives, both short-term and long-term, such as retirement and short-term goals like a trip or a down payment on a home. Along with an end date target, you should include these objectives in your budget. After that, you may allocate a particular sum of money each month to ensure that you achieve your goals within the required time range. 2. Not paying attention to savings account rates. Despite the fact that the difference between the highest and lowest rates of interest on savings accounts has been expanding, you might not be aware of how much it fluctuates. Currently, some of the highest yielding accounts give annual percentage yields, APYs, of about 3%, while many major, conventional banks still only offer 0.01% APYs on savings accounts. The results of a recent Capital One poll show that 48% of participants are unaware of the interest rate on their savings account. If you don't know the interest rate on your own savings account, you probably don't know what other financial institutions are providing on their accounts too. This means you can be losing out on valuable opportunities. Additionally, if you have many savings accounts, keeping track of how each one's savings rates differs can enable you to choose where to store more of your savings in order to optimize the return you are receiving on your total savings amount. To know more financial tips, do subscribe our channel. 3. Excessive expenditure on non-necessities. We may spend money in a variety of different ways that add up over the course of a month on things that are not absolutely necessary. Before you know it, you've already shelled out a lot more money than you had planned to on these luxuries that you really don't need. Consider using this technique to break the habit if you frequently shop in the windows. Write down the next non-essential thing you want to buy on paper or in the Notes app on your phone, then put it on hold for a few days. By saving the money you would have spent on the item after that period of time, you may discover that you no longer want it. A shopping list is something else you might want to consider before going shopping. By customizing the shopping list, you can make sure you buy what you need while staying below your spending limit. It could function as a deterrent to your eyes from straying to other needs and a reminder to keep your spending in check. 4. Allowing debt to amass. According to data from Experian, the typical American has $96,371 in debt as of September 2022. Consumers now often rack up significant sums of debt and then face the strain of making gradual, ongoing payments. Debt from credit cards, personal loans, and college loans are a few of the things that might add to your overall debt. You'll wind up paying more in interest over time if you let these sums build up and merely pay the minimum each month, which will also delay your ability to get out of debt and start saving more. Make a note of every loan you have, together with the yearly interest rate and the payment deadline, before you attempt to get out of debt. When you have extra money in your budget, you may start developing a strategy for paying off those loans. Depending on whatever approach you use, avalanche or snowball, you might wish to choose those with the greatest interest rates first or those with the lowest balances first. I would again like to remind you to subscribe our channel. 5. Postponing saving till after you've already spent your money. Even when you stick to your budget, it's simple to forget about conserving money and wind up purchasing more than you intended. When you put cash into your savings account at the end of the month, you've already spent it on desires and necessities. As a result, you might only save a little portion of your monthly income, giving you the option to spend down your savings while they're still easily available. If you want to break this behavior, put some of your money in a savings account as soon as your paycheck is processed. You'll be less likely to access your savings and spend the money you've been saving because savings accounts typically only permit a set number of specific transactions each month. 6. Not planning ahead with a budget. Without a budget, you can't keep track of costs, the status of your savings goals, or the amount of money you have available for spending. Without a budget, it's simpler to develop bad spending habits. A budget is, very simply, your guide to your own money. Make careful to factor wants, needs, and savings into your budget planning. A prominent budgeting strategy is the 50-30-20 rule, which states that you should allocate 50% of your income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings. In order to have a little more flexibility with your expenditures and avoid feeling restricted at the end of the month, it can even be a good idea to slightly underestimate your monthly revenue. 7. Not having an emergency money. 58% of Americans are worried about how much emergency funds they have, according to a Bankrate study from June 2022. Many may not be making any emergency fund contributions or may have chosen to prioritize other savings objectives, leaving their emergency fund with little. Budgets are tight due to inflation, but it's still crucial to keep money aside for emergencies. These savings are what ensure that you can pay for unforeseen costs and prevent you from accruing extra debt by paying for such things with a credit card or a loan. Check your budget to see where you can make small adjustments to save extra money in various areas. You should also save any windfalls, like a tax rebate, to start accumulating an emergency savings reserve. Due to the fact that online bank accounts typically provide far better rates than conventional savings accounts, think about putting your emergency funds there. 8. Relying on cash advances. When used excessively, cash advances can create a never-ending cycle of debt, even though they may be required in some situations to make ends meet. Overdraft protection, early payday loans, and buy now, pay later, BNPL, programs are examples of cash advances. The ability to spend money you don't currently have is something they all have in common. Although you may feel as though you are spending free money when you receive a cash advance, you will ultimately need to pay it back. If you find it difficult to do so, you may wind up incurring more debt and facing other financial difficulties. A lot of the time, they also have steep costs. For instance, a very recent checking account study found that overdraft fees typically cost $29.80 per transaction. Take into account alternative methods of making room for costs rather than relying on financial loans. You can cover unexpected costs by starting an emergency fund or by working a second job. You may wish to choose not to have overdraft protection if you often overdraw your account in order to avoid paying overdraft fees. That's all for this video. If you want to watch regular finance-related videos, do subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.